Jefferson Davis was born June 3, 1808, in Kentucky. His grandfather was a colonist from Wales. His father and uncles were Revolutionary soldiers. He failed to raise enough money to go to the Civil War. He was responsible for the raising of the Confederate armies. Davis was captured by Federal troops at Earlville, Georgia. From 1865 to 1867, he was imprisoned at Fort Monroe, Virginia. He was indicted for treason in 1866. He was released the next year for a $100,000 fine. In 1868, the government dropped the case against him. Ulysses was born on April 27, 1822, Point Pleasant, Ohio. He was the son of Jesse Root Grant and Hannah Simpson. He grew up in Georgetown, Ohio, at the outbreak of the Civil War. He helped recruit, equip, and drill troops in Galena. After that, he accompanied them to the state capital, Springfield, where Governor Richard Yates put him in command of all the U.S. armies. Soon after, his father received the news and said, "Be careful, Ulysses. You are a general now. It's a good job. Don't lose it." Robert E. Lee was born on January 19, 1807, in Stratford, Westmoreland County. Robert was the fourth child of Colonel Henry Lee and Anne Hill Carter. He was educated at West Point Military Academy. In 1852, he became the Chief of Military Academy. He also received the highest rank a cadet could earn. As Commander-in-Chief of Virginia's forces, he saw that his first task was to concentrate troops, armaments, and equipment at major points where he expected the invasion. Abraham Lincoln was born in a log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, to Thomas Lincoln and Nancy Hanks Lincoln. Abe had two siblings, an older sister and a younger brother. When he was 9 years old, his mother died of trematol. Abraham responded to the Civil War as wielding powers. He distributed $2 million for war material. He also brought 75,000 volunteers for the war. He was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. On March 5, 1861, the day after Abraham Lincoln was elected President of the United States of America, Lincoln receives a message from Major Robert Anderson, commander of the U.S. troops defending Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor. The message stated that there was less than a 6-week supply of food at the fort. On April 8th, Lincoln notified Governor Francis Pickens that he would try to resupply the fort. The war started at 4:30 a.m. April 12, 1861. It would become the bloodiest war in American history. On April 14th, the war ended carrying their tattered banner. The soldiers trudged out of the fort to their home. They were regarded as heroes. Gettysburg battle began accidentally. 2 Confederate brigades moved to Gettysburg. Unknown, the town was already occupied by 2 Union cavalry brigades. The battle started at around 8 a.m. as the Confederate brigades moved northwest. The general was expecting little resistance and was sure to find he was very wrong. The Battle of Vicksburg was the final major military action in the Vicksburg campaign. Ulysses S. Grant and his Army of the Tennessee crossed the Mississippi River and pushed the Confederate Army into defensive lines surrounding the fortress city of Vicksburg. When 2 major assaults against the Confederate fortifications happened with a lot of casualties, Grant decided to siege the city beginning May 25th with barely anything left. After 40 days, Garrison surrendered on July 4th. This stopped the command of the Mississippi River to the Union forces, who would hold it for the rest of the conflict. Abraham Lincoln believed that slaves should be emancipated. He tried to win over legislators and found out it was useless. In September of 1862, after the Union's victory at Antietam, Lincoln issued a peremptory decree, saying that unless the rebellious states returned to the Union by January 1st, freedom would be granted to the slaves within those states. No Confederates took the offer, and on January 1st, Lincoln presented the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free all slaves, but only those under Union control. On April 2nd, Grant's troops broke through Confederate lines. At evening time, he was in Union hands. Lee's army retreated to Appomattox. There, Lee's escape got cut off, leaving him no choice but to surrender. Grant gave Lee many surrender terms. All the Confederates had to do was give up their weapons and leave them in peace. As Lee was riding off, some of the Union troops started to celebrate the surrender. Grant silenced them and said, "The war is over. The rebels are our countrymen again." President Lincoln was assassinated shortly after 10 p.m. on April 14, 1865, by actor John Wilkes Booth. He entered the presidential box at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and fatally shot President Abraham Lincoln. He escaped through the back door. Booth did it because he thought it would aid the South, which had just surrendered to federal forces. It had the opposite effect. It ended his life and attempt to bring peace. Booth was later shot while trying to escape and was captured along with all the conspirators.